Hey, what's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. NFL Cowboys news. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the latest Cowboys news and updates. Today, we've got a big one. Zeke Elliott has officially broken his silence, and what he had to say about his time with the Dallas Cowboys is nothing short of explosive. We're diving deep into the comments that have Cowboys fans talking and NFL analysts buzzing. So, let's get right into it. Now, for those of you who may have missed it, Ezekiel Elliott has been somewhat of a controversial figure for Cowboys fans over the past couple of seasons. Once the star running back and face of the franchise, Zeke's tenure in Dallas took a sharp turn after the Cowboys moved on from him in 2023. Zeke had a historic career with the Cowboys, but the combination of injuries, contract issues, and a declining performance led to his eventual release. From 2016 to 2019, Zeke was one of the most dominant forces in the NFL, leading the league in rushing yards multiple times. But the last few years saw a different Zeke, a shadow of his former self. With the Cowboys drafting Tony Pollard and shifting their offensive scheme, Zeke was eventually cut, and the rest, as they say, is history. After being released by Dallas, Zeke signed with the New England Patriots for the 2023 season. But it wasn't just the move to the Patriots that shocked fans. It was the way the Cowboys let him go, without much fanfare, and that left a lot of bad blood between Zeke and the organization. Fast forward to today, and Zeke has finally broken his silence in an explosive interview with NFL Network, where he shared some pretty bold thoughts about his time in Dallas, how the Cowboys treated him towards the end, and why he feels the way he does about the franchise. And trust me, Cowboys fans, you do not want to miss what he had to say. Let's break it down. Here's what Zeke had to say when asked about his departure from Dallas. It was tough. I gave everything I had to that team and that city. But when it came down to the business side of things, I felt like I was discarded. Like I wasn't even a priority anymore. And that stings. I don't care who you are when you've put in the blood, sweat, and tears like I did. To be treated that way, it's a slap in the face. Those are some pretty strong words coming from Zeke. He's clearly hurt by how things ended, and he's not holding back anymore. The key point here is when he says he feels discarded and that he wasn't treated as a priority. If you remember, Zeke had a very public contract dispute with the Cowboys front office back in 2019, when he held out for a new deal. But even after he got paid, the Cowboys' offense shifted, and his role became less significant. And here's where things really get spicy. Zeke continued, I saw how things were changing. They wanted to focus on the future, but they didn't have the respect to include me in those discussions. It was clear that I was a casualty of business. You get to a point where you realize it's not about loyalty anymore, it's about what they can get out of you until they move on. Now, Cowboys Nation, this is where Zeke really hits home. The transition from Zeke to Tony Pollard as the team's primary running back was inevitable. But to hear Zeke say he wasn't included in those conversations is a whole different level of transparency. And this might rub some fans the wrong way, but there's definitely some truth to what he's saying. I mean, think about it. Zeke was the face of the franchise for years. He was the guy. And while his production did drop over time, you could argue that the Cowboys didn't handle his departure with the respect and care that many expected, especially after all he'd done for the team. It's one thing to make business decisions, but it's another to completely disregard a player's legacy. And Zeke has every right to feel this way. Of course, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office will argue that it was a business decision they needed to move forward with younger, fresher legs. But from a personal standpoint, Zeke's comments suggest that Dallas didn't make the best effort to communicate, or make him feel like he was still part of the Cowboys family. That's a tough pill to swallow for any player who has given as much as Zeke did. And let's talk about Jerry Jones, because Zeke didn't shy away from addressing the Cowboys owner either. When asked about Jerry, Zeke said, Jerry is a businessman, and I get it. But that doesn't mean I don't feel some type of way about how things went down. It wasn't personal, but it sure felt like it was. The way they handled it, especially when I knew how much I'd given to that team, left me wondering where the respect went. Now, this is the part that's going to get a lot of people talking. Jerry Jones has been known for making big, bold decisions, and while he's a beloved figure in Cowboys lore, there's also a lot of criticism for how he sometimes handles business behind the scenes. Zeke's comments here point to a lack of personal acknowledgement from the owner when it came to his departure, and that's significant, because if anyone in Dallas should have been at least giving Zeke his due respect, it was Jerry. Whether Jerry's decision was based purely on football or a mix of business factors, Zeke clearly feels that he didn't get the appreciation he deserved. And let's not forget, Zeke was the one who helped carry the Cowboys during some of their most successful seasons in recent years. But in the NFL, it's all about the next man up, and when your team starts looking at younger talent, it's easy to see why Zeke was left in the dust. Zeke didn't stop there, though. He also shared his thoughts on his move to the New England Patriots, where he spent the 2023 season. Zeke admitted that it was a tough transition at first but praised the Pats for giving him a fresh start. He said, "New England was a blessing. They didn't know what to expect from me, and I didn't know what to expect from them. But Bill Belichick, he gave me the chance to show I could still be that guy just in a different role." Zeke's time with the Patriots was a bit quieter, but it did allow him to find a new rhythm. But the bigger question now is, where does Zeke go from here? Is he done with the NFL, or could he return for another run? Zeke didn't rule out the possibility of continuing his career, but he made it clear that he'll only return to a team that values him, one that recognizes what he's been through and what he still has left to offer. And honestly, with the way he's been talking, it sounds like he's got some unfinished business. You can't blame him for wanting to end his career on his terms, not the Cowboys' terms. So what does all of this mean for the Dallas Cowboys moving forward? Well, it's clear that Zeke's comments are going to have a lasting impact on the relationship between him and the organization. Whether the Cowboys choose to publicly respond or not, the damage has been done. Fans are already divided, some siding with Zeke and others defending the Cowboys' decision. Here's the thing, the Cowboys have moved on, and they're focused on building a team around Dak Prescott and Tony Pollard. But Zeke's comments add another layer of complexity to this already tricky situation. Will it have any effect on the Cowboys' future decisions? Will the Cowboys try to patch things up with Zeke down the line? We'll have to wait and see. What do you think about Zeke's explosive comments? Do you agree with him, or do you think the Cowboys made the right call? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe for more Cowboys news. We'll be back with more updates soon, so stay tuned.